Welcome everyone out to Money Mastery Mastermind. This is our second session. I'm so excited to share with you a review of last week as well as some new content for this week. When you think of a network, I think of 1995 when Microsoft had launched Encarta, which was the largest encyclopedia at the time. I don't know if you guys remember growing up, the Encyclopedia Britannica, where you actually had 36 volumes of books that you would have to do your homework on. And Encarta came out and it was brilliant. You had a CD-ROM, you could access information, there were pictures, you could cut and paste articles. But if I had a crystal ball back in 1995 and I asked you what would be more successful, a encyclopedia by Microsoft, a billion-dollar company whose founder, Bill Gates, is the richest person in the world, or a hodgepodge of people coming together and creating their own encyclopedia in a couple more years? Most likely, if you're a gambling person, you'd say Encarta for sure. Well, Encarta was successful. They had paid, authors and writers to write articles. They had managers. They spent millions and millions of dollars in Encarta. However, when Wikipedia came out, Wikipedia did not pay anybody. They had a network of people writing articles, and today Wikipedia is one of the top 5 visited websites in the world. If you look at the statistics of Wikipedia, they're staggering. Wikipedia has almost 5 million articles, 37 million pages, 800,000 files, over 700, almost 800 million edits, 26 million users, 1,300 admins, and there's over 123 active users. All that happened because of a mastermind. It's amazing to me when you think of Wikipedia, there literally is nobody who's paid to write those articles or to edit them or to correct them or perfect them. And yes, in their early years, the Wikipedia articles were kind of funny because they were so far off. Like, I had Googled myself once on Wikipedia, and it was so far off of who I really was. It was hysterical. Some of their historical facts were wrong. But over the years, it's come together, and it has really become an incredible website for information. All that happened because of a network. And in this mastermind, we're going to talk a lot about networking. How do you truly network? How do you network like a millionaire? How do you make a difference? To me, it comes down to the old game of Go Fish. Remember this game where you would have an octopus, a sand shark, a hammerhead shark, and you would be playing against someone else, and you would ask them, do you have a sand shark? Do you have the octopus? And if you're playing with more than one person, you would hear someone else ask for the same thing over and over again, and you know they had multiple of those, so you would ask for them so you could get them. To me, networking is like Go Fish. The difference is, instead of trying to get all the cards for yourself, you're trying to give out all of your cards to other people. So think about if you're networking with someone and they say, you know what, I'm having a tough time selling my house. I need to find a good realtor who can list my house for me or a good contractor to fix it up. If you had thought about all the other people you know who are great realtors or great builders or contractors, you could refer them back. That's what networking is. It's Go Fish. You got to help people solve their problems. Instead of hoarding it all for yourself, you want to give it all away as much as you can. A great example is a guy who's in the network of Renatus is Ryan Black. I mentioned to you last week of what he's done for me. He does all my filming for my other mastermind group called Business NOS. So if you're on YouTube, type in Business NOS, N-O-S, you'll see a ton of videos that Ryan has done. When I launched Money Mastery, Ryan took it upon himself to make sure that my audio was clear. And at first, I'll be honest, I was a little external. With my emotional fingerprint, for those of you who know your emotional fingerprint, my eyes were being offended because he was really getting my business and saying, Woody, your audio's not right, it's not right. So one time, he and I were down masterminding together. I said, okay, Ryan, what am I missing? And he started talking about megahertz, and he started talking about different microphones. And you're not recording it here properly, and you're not recording it there properly. And I thought, wow, this guy is an encyclopedia of information. So I downloaded a new software, and the new Money Masteries that are coming out sound crystal clear. They're beautiful, all because he took it upon himself to help solve one of my problems. So when he does that for me, what am I going to do for him? Anything and everything I can to build his business. It's about ROI. There are 2 types of ROI. ROI of return on investment, which most people understand. The second ROI is return on importance. When we make other people feel important, they are more likely to do business with us and for us. So when you look at Wikipedia versus Encarta, the people who worked with Encarta, that was a job to them. They were employees. They didn't, I don't want to say they didn't care, but they didn't have an intrinsic value tied to it. They got a paycheck and that was it. But the people who are on Wikipedia, the people who are writing these articles, you've got, 5 million articles written, 37 million pages written. That's because Wikipedia makes them feel important. They have a voice finally. They finally can share who they really are. That is what ROI is all about, making other people feel important. A couple things I want to clarify from our last call. I want to clarify transparency. There's something called transparency versus positioning. So we're all in a mastermind together. You should be very transparent with one another, and you should hold that information very sacred. You don't share other people's information. You don't gossip within the mastermind. You help and you lift one another. That's being transparent. Positioning is how you show up in the world. You don't want to go to a networking event or mastermind, or no, let me rephrase that. You don't want to meet an individual and be totally transparent. Meaning you don't want to say, oh yeah, I've lost my house, I filed bankruptcy, I've been divorced, I've been overweight, I'm currently struggling, I'm on drugs. No, that's what you do not want to do. People don't want to know that information. You want a position. And what positioning means is, think of a billboard. You are a walking billboard. When you walk around and you show up and you talk to people, what do you want them to know about you? That's how you position yourself. And with positioning, and over the next 3 or 4 months, I'll teach you guys more about positioning. But it's really, you need to be clear on how do you want people to perceive you. It kind of comes down to your elevator pitch or your grabber. So my elevator pitch for years and years was, I'm a high school dropout. I was a millionaire at 26 and broke at 27. I made it all back in real estate, and now I teach other people how to do the same. So it's usually 2 or 3 points to get someone's attention. So I was on a call yesterday with a client of mine who I love and just fantastic individual, and she was having a very tough time in making the phone calls with people. And I said, the only reason you're having a tough time is you're not positioning yourself properly. So she would get a Craigslist phone call or one of the bulletin board phone calls, and she'd call people up and just start asking question after question. Now, I talked about that last week. When you are sitting down with somebody, you want to defer your answers to them. You want them to talk. But when you are on the phone with somebody who you want to be part of your business, you got to do a grabber. You got to do a position that they want to hear so that they want to do business with you. So here's what we came up with her. Just 3 points. So think about this. You just need 3 points to get someone's attention. So I asked her a bunch of questions. How much real estate have you bought in the last 10 years? What was the number of homes you bought? What's the value of those homes? What do you currently receive in rental? So here's what we came up with her. And this is how she'd answer. She would answer the phone, or she would call someone and say, Woody, I heard that you called, I'm returning your call with the Craigslist ad. I'm looking for an apprentice because, and this is with the 3 points, because in the last 6 years, I've acquired $500,000 of real estate. I generated a 6-figure income in rental. I generated a 6-figure rental income, and I was able to fire my boss. And I'm looking for other people to do the same. Are you interested? So how that works is, when we position, it's that billboard. What's that one thing you want people to know about you? Just really briefly. You don't want to go into story time. You just want to go to bullet points. So if I was positioning Renatus with my background, when I was down and out and completely broke, I got into real estate. And in less than 5 years, we built a mortgage and real estate firm in 7 states, generating over $30 million a year in transactions. I'm looking for other people to help me do the same. So it's very poignant, very just like a billboard. We've all driven by billboards where too often you can't read them. The text is too small, or there's too much, or there's just a picture with nothing. 3 bullet points of who you are, what your successes have been in real estate, what you do, so that other people's interest is now piqued so that you can get their attention. Let me also reiterate back to when you're sitting down one-on-one with somebody, it is best to get them to speak first. So do your grabber and then go into questions to them. So last week I sent you 15 questions that you can ask someone to create value. Go ahead and use those. What are you most passionate about? What's your biggest, the greatest risk you've ever taken? Was it worth it? When you ask people those questions, they get to talking. You can then use that information to help close the deal. All right, let's go into today's training. Today's training is going to be about maps. I sent you guys a video on this, but this will actually go into greater detail. no matter how many businesses I have owned or studied or read about, I find that they fall into three categories. They're either a message, a product, or a service. So Renatus is a product. It has education, but it also is a service, meaning that you can access that education over and over again. So you don't have to have all three. You don't have to have a message, product, or service. You can have just product. You can have just service. So take Apple, for example. Apple has products. They sell phones. They sell iPods. They sell iPads. But they also have a service, iTunes. That's the service. And you can say, yes, they have a message, but I'm not really going that route on this one. X marks a spot on a treasure map. You've got to find your treasure, and X is how you do it. But it's also the multiplier. A is audience. So MPS times A equals any amount of money you want to make. It's really that simple. You take any business. If they don't have an audience, doesn't matter who they are or what they do. So take, for example, Oprah Winfrey. When she was on the air, she had millions of viewers every single day, and she had a net worth of over $1 billion because she had audience. You take a school teacher who only has an audience of 30 kids, and he or she will cap out at $60,000 or maybe $80,000 a year. Doesn't mean that their message, product, or service was any less or more valuable. Just means that their audience wasn't enough to generate the revenue they wanted to generate. Now, if you take away A, all you have is PMS. You're anxious, you're stressed, you're overworked, you're frustrated, you're angry, you're mad. If you take away the MPS, all you have is A, that's YouTube. YouTube sells eyeballs for a living. They really don't have a message or a product or a service. Now, it's free service, but they don't charge for it. What they charge for are eyeballs. So when you are crafting your business and you're building Renatus, you really have to look at who is your audience. Because honestly, I don't care about your website and your logo and your marketing materials. That's all message, product, service stuff. And it means nothing until you have an audience. Take Kodak and Instagram, for example. A couple years back, Kodak filed for bankruptcy the same month that Instagram was sold for $1 billion. Because Instagram had 150 million users. They weren't even profitable yet, and they sold for $1 billion because they had an audience. How often do you see all these websites? Snapchat got offered $3 billion to be purchased by Facebook, and they declined it. They weren't even profitable, but they had millions and millions of users. There's an app called WhatsApp, which is a way to text internationally. They got purchased by Facebook for $19 billion because they had 300 million users. That's audience. So audience makes you the money, nothing else. Doesn't matter who else you have or what logos you have. It's all about audience. So there are three ways to build audience. You can build, buy, or borrow. So building an audience is where you build it from scratch. This kind of is where social media comes into play, where you're doing Facebook posts and you're doing YouTube channels, you're doing Instagram, and we've all seen stories online about different YouTubers or different Facebook people who make a great amount of money from building their own audience. The second way is to buy an audience. You can do standard advertising. You can pay for billboards. You can pay for a post on Facebook and other social media sites, magazine articles. Those things are where you're purchasing people's eyeballs, kind of like YouTube does, or YouTube sells. The third one, and I find this to be the most powerful, and frankly, this is where I've built my entire business, off of the borrow. I borrow an audience. So borrowing an audience is called a JV. So right here, JV stands for joint venture. When you create a joint venture with somebody, you usually do what's called a rev share, where if you were to go to an accountant and say, you know what, if you have any clients who are looking for an investment or looking for a discount, you know, we're coming towards the end of the year, they need to spend some money in their business, we have an education system in real estate. If you will introduce me to your clients and they buy our system, I will then give you something back. That's a joint venture. Now, it doesn't have to be monetary. I have tons of relationships where I don't give money to anybody. I just go and I speak, I sell, but I'm getting my value of speaking, and that's the exchange. So it can be anything. But let's take the accountant, for example. You could also say, well, Mr. Accountant, I've got 25 people, 50 people, 100 people. Why don't you come and do a Saturday event and talk to us about taxes? So he or she could come to your event on a Super Saturday, share some great tax advice, and he would have a joint venture with you to be able to share. It kind of goes back to last week when we talked about the 3 levels of influence. First level is transactional, that's one-to-one. Second level is leveraged influence, where it's you to other people. So when I go on stage, it's me in front of 100 or 1,000 people. That is a leveraged influence. So borrowing an audience, I find, is the most profitable way to build your business. So you just have to look inside your real estate community and say, who are the best people I can use to, or I should say use the wrong word, best people I can partner with to create a joint venture. And is there a potential to do a rev share? Because they're in a business. If you can create a revenue stream for them, then they're going to be happy. So that's the training for today. I'm going to open up the line for any text, email, or text me at 951-973-3408. That's 951-973-3408. And I'll share with you the ability to mastermind and other ideas you might have. So go ahead and text me. It's interesting because now it did freeze up. Let's see here if I can. Yeah, it's so funny. It already froze up. So go ahead and text me. We'll take a couple minutes. Pause if you need it. Text me 951-973-3408. Any questions you have about maps, about networking, the 3 levels of influence, any questions you have, I'll be happy to answer them for the next 20, 30, 40 minutes. As you guys are getting ready to text, let me share some more stories with you about ROI, return on importance. When you make other people feel important, and this comes back to the science of emotional fingerprint, that's why I gave you guys the website, nomortherapy.com. You have access to the membership site. But when we make other people feel important, they will pretty much do anything for us. And I don't mean that in a chauvinistic or a manipulative way. But think about someone you love. Think about someone you really care about. Think about it, maybe a family member, a parent. When they make you feel important, you will do anything for them. So when we are looking at helping people grow their business, we're looking at helping them feel important. If we can help them feel important, then they are being more successful and they're happier with what they're doing. So got a couple questions coming in. Thank you guys very much. Give me 1 second to read these and I will answer them for you. Great question here, Mike. Pertaining to last week's recap, how do you know when to utilize transparency versus positioning? Isn't transparency important? Transparency is extremely important. But what I mean by transparency in the marketplace is you don't want to reveal all of your skeletons in the closet. So I've had a very volatile childhood. I've had a very volatile adult life. I've made and lost more fortunes than I care to admit. And I can share that when I'm on stage because it's appropriate. But when I sit down to meet with a top individual, I don't go through all of my financial problems I've had in the past. But transparency and authenticity, so let's clarify transparency and authenticity. It is crucial to be authentic anywhere and everywhere. I look at transparency as everybody knowing everything about you. So in a mastermind group like this, we need to be transparent. We need to be open. So if one of you has a real significant problem, you should feel comfortable and safe enough to bring it to the group. Because in our group, in a mastermind group, the goal is to solve that problem. But you would not take that same problem out into the marketplace when you meet with somebody. But you could be authentic, you could be real, and you could position properly. So I hope that answers the question for you, but it really comes down to transparency is who you are with your best friend, where you can really reveal anything and everything. That's reserved for a mastermind group. But out in the marketplace, position and help other people be successful, but don't share everything all the time. Another fantastic question. When we have an audience like an audience on social media, how can we most effectively use the map system? So on social media, I was thinking about this today. If you want to get more people into your social media, find other gurus in the space. So you could find people who are doing the same thing you're doing and partner with them. So one of the people I'm partnering with right now is John Lee Dumas, who owns EntrepreneurOnFire.com. They have 1 million listeners a month on their podcasts. So I have partnered with him to launch Money Mastery Online. If you're just on social media, you have already leveraged it because you are showing up on other people's walls all the time, especially like on Facebook. So the way you'd want to do that, the way you would want to engage them is based off of ROI. And one of my other great clients, Mike, and I were talking about this yesterday. Instead of taking your business and saying, oh, come to my, my presentation at 7 o'clock on a Thursday night, engage them with their things that make them feel important. So, for example, I'm remodeling this house. What color do you think I should do the living room? Anytime you ask them a question that they can answer that's specific to them and that interests them, people support what they create. So if they're emotionally engaged in what you are doing and they find it fascinating that you're painting houses, that you're buying real estate, they'll like to give their opinion. So when I launched Your Emotional Fingerprint, the book cover, instead of saying, hey, here's my book cover, go buy it at Amazon, I gave 5 book covers and I posted on social media. I said, which one's your favorite? And I had hundreds of people corresponding back and forth. No, this color, no, that color, this shading's better, this text is better, use this font. People want to engage. It's all about engagement when you're on social media. So ask them questions like, does anyone have a house near them that they really like and they want to see and they want to be able to do stuff with? That way, people want to participate and share. Great questions. Got a lot of questions coming in. Here we go. Bob Tierney, I love you. You made something, he said something fantastic. Woody, slow down. Your words are hard to hear and articulate. I apologize. I get going very fast and very passionate. So thank you, Bob. I appreciate that. That is a perfect example of being transparent. Bob is a friend. He's willing to share with me that, Woody, you're going too fast. I'm willing to receive that and say, thank you. Great question. I am a very skeptical person, and as a result, I internalize and relate to other people's skepticism. How do I stop this? You can easily eliminate skepticism when you realize what you have is truth. If you truly believe in the Renatus experience, you believe in the information, the education, then you won't be skeptical at all. You will know that it is accurate, it is true, and you will feel the success of it. Therefore, you won't have a problem sharing it. But if I'm guessing you don't actually feel it's the right thing. Because when you are confident, if I were to ask you what's your favorite color, your favorite movie, your favorite song, you would know the answers to that because they're specific and they're direct to you. The same with Renatus. If you really know and understand Renatus, there's nothing to be skeptical about. There's nothing to be afraid about. All right, we'll wait about 2 more minutes. If anyone has any additional questions about the training today or the training last week, let me know and we'll answer them. Otherwise, we'll end the call early today. And I appreciate all of you for being on. I hope that the recording sounds better. I had a couple people say that it was kind of staticky. That might be the reception on your end because when we tested on this end, it looked and sounded clear. So hopefully the recording comes across clear and you guys will be able to hear this. So we'll give about 1 more minute to see if we have any other questions. Feel free to ask any question, really on anything. This is what the mastermind part is about, is really asking any question you want in business. All right, looks like we don't have any more questions. You guys, thank you so much for being part of the mastermind call today. Thank you for always sharing, being transparent, being honest and open. Make sure that we got one more great question coming in. Let's see here. Got a couple great questions coming in. Once you have determined your audience, what is the best way to pique their interest? Good. That's a great question. What I'll teach you guys next week is called the law of engagement. There's 5 principles to engage an audience, to engage people. When we engage them, it's really about how do I pique their interest, how do I grab their interest, and how do I maintain their interest. So I'll actually teach that next week because it'll probably take me 10 to 15 minutes to explain it. So I'll make a note of that, and we will teach you guys the same thing next week on, now that you have an audience, how do I engage them? Another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to assign everybody an accountability partner. So I'm going to Atlanta this Friday, and I'm going to sell the mastermind one more time. And so when we get a new group of people coming in for our next Tuesday's call, I'm actually going to assign everybody a mastermind accountability partner. So for every 30 days, I'm going to rotate. You're going to be assigned someone. Your goal is to call them once a week, mastermind with them specifically, and then be able to follow up and show transparency and help one another build your business. Also, over the next 90 days we do this, I really want you guys to understand the value of work, to really push hard and work hard. I don't want you just to sign up and listen to this and not take it home. You can change your life. You can truly increase your revenue, have a happier home by getting out there and working harder. Use what you're learning here, read books, watch documentaries, read biographies, because it will change your life. Your mindset is what is the filter to your success. We always talk about your net worth is connected to your network. Well, your ambition and your drive and your passion is connected to your mindset. So until you clear out the cobwebs and you start pushing really hard, you'll never get out there and do it. So spend some time on your mindset, spend some time on really opening up the possibilities of your head. So I got a couple more questions. Once again, a great transparent question. Woody, you said part of your elevator pitch is saying you made and lost millions. Isn't that too transparent? It might be putting people off. I love a question like that. So in positioning, what's a great way? So positioning is nothing more than a marketing message. So the reason why I say I made and lost the money and made it back is that's what I teach people to do. I teach people how to make more revenue, how to make more money. So it also endears them to me. Oh, here's a guy who's successful, but he also was unsuccessful at one time. And I don't go into the details of it. I make it very quick. I dropped out of high school at 16. I was a millionaire at 26. I was broke at 27. Now, I chose those two positions for one reason. That I dropped out of high school at 16 means it doesn't matter what your education is, you can overcome your challenges. I lost it all, or I made it by 26 and I lost it by 27. That proves that I know how to make money. Then the third part is, and I made it all back within 5 years, doing real estate in 7 states, doing over $30 million a year in transactions. So the reason I position it that way is to teach people that it doesn't matter what your education is, doesn't matter if you've made it or lost it, you can make it back. What are the top 3 books you recommend aside from Think and Grow Rich? One of my all-time favorite books, As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. You can get that free online in PDF form. The other one is The Alchemist by Pablo Coelho. The Alchemist by Pablo Coelho. Right now, let's see, is there another book? I'm looking at my library right now. Is there anything else that's really jumped up? I love The One Thing by Gary Keller, and I can save you an hour and a half in reading the book. The whole book is about what's that one thing that you need to do, like that absolute one thing you need to do right now. In fact, I'll read you one paragraph from the book that really sums up the entire book. Answers come from questions, and the quality of any answer is directly determined by the quality of the question. Ask the wrong questions, get the wrong answers. Ask the right questions, get the right answers. The most powerful questions possible, the answer can be life-altering. So this goes back to the trading on you get 100% of what you don't ask for. If you ask for nothing, you get nothing. So right now I'm getting a ton of text in. I'm getting a lot of questions. That's fantastic. I'm here to give you my time and energy, but if you guys don't ask the questions, you're just going to get a 20-minute training. So thank you for living it. So the more questions you ask, the more results you get. Thank you, Bob, for answering that. Yes, you can be authentic and still position yourself. Positioning does not mean being inauthentic or not truthful. If you know me, everything I teach is about being authentic. Don't position yourself like, yes, I've made millions, and yes, I'm fantastic, and I'm a great father, and I've never had a fight with my wife. No, I am perfect. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about authenticity, being real, and position yourself so that other people know you're successful, because people want to do business with other people who are successful. The author of The One Thing is Gary Keller. Gary Keller. Hold on, I got a long question here. Give me a second. So someone asked a question, if we have a business partner and we're in this mastermind and we're not getting what we want from that business partner, are we free to talk about it? Yeah. I don't want to call people out by name per se, but yeah, if you're struggling with somebody, even someone within Renatus, please bring it to my attention. I'm sure you're not the only person who's struggling. You're not the only person having a tough time with someone else in the community. But let's not name drop, and let's not name bash, and let's not offend one another, but let's be transparent with our problems. And you can always leave out names. My wife and I talk about a lot of different people in society, in the world, in the press, and we just leave their name out because it's human behavior we're talking about. What are they doing? What are they not doing? And what can I do about it? Thank you for the reminder. Someone asked me, you mentioned last week something about a book club. Did you want us to send out a list of different books? I'm actually going to send you a monkey survey. Survey Monkey, to have you list all your favorite books, and then I'm going to put that out next week. I was having so many technical difficulties last week. We sent out so many different emails. I thought I'm not going to bother you guys with one more email. But this week, when I send out the recording of this call, I'm going to send you a Survey Monkey, which means you'll just list the books you like. It'll put in an Excel spreadsheet. I'll list out the ones that have the highest rating, and then I'll put that out to everyone to see what books our community is liking and wanting to use. So, great question. Any other last questions before we end the call? Well, guys, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Appreciate who you are, what you stand for, and just go out and work it. You can make this happen. Oh, the author of As a Man Thinketh is James Allen. As a Man Thinketh, James Allen. And for The Alchemist, Pablo Coelho. So if you go into Amazon and just type in The Alchemist, you'll see it. A few last questions. This is a great question, Allison. What do you recommend for new people to Renatus who may not have success with real estate or Renatus yet to pique interest? Look at what successes you have had in your life. So yes, once again, be authentic and be real. Don't say, yes, I've bought $1 million in real estate. If you haven't, then you can't say it. What you can do is look at what other successes you've had. And if you don't have any success, if you are new in business, then borrow somebody else's. You can say, my team, so if you're on a team, my team together, we have bought $5 million in real estate. Because you are part of a team, you may personally not have invested into that $5 million, but your team has. That's still positioning. It's still true. Your team has bought $5 million in real estate. So branch out past yourself and use other people's successes, but don't say, I bought $5 million. Say, our team has. Is there a private Facebook group for our mastermind? No, there is not. Sorry. I'm working with my husband and we don't see eye to eye in our business. How can we work together? Sign up for my one-on-one coaching. I'm just kidding. It comes down to my wife and I, when we were completely broke when I was 27 years old, she started processing loans and I got my real estate license. And so we tried to build a business together, and it was challenging. I'll be honest. It was very hard when two people have different opinions. I find the best way when you have a partner, it could be a spouse or it could be just a business partner in the community, I find it's best to give assignments. You handle this department, I'll handle that department. You do it your way, I'll do it my way. Also, my wife and I do a lot of what's called bartering. We barter back and forth. Okay, you get this, I'll get that. You do this, I'll do that. So it all comes down to really coming to a common ground, finding a peaceful spot. I mean, business shouldn't hurt your marriage. It shouldn't hurt your relationships. It should actually help it. So test it. Say, okay, for 1 month, we'll do it your way, 100% your way. The next month, we'll do it my way, 100%. And just give and take. At the end of the day, business should make your relationship better, not worse. Can the 3 ways to build an audience compound each other for exponential growth? Build, buy, and borrow. Absolutely. In fact, all the biggest companies do that. They build, so you got, take Apple, for example. They will build on social media. They'll put stuff out there. Then they will buy advertisements. And then to borrow an audience, I remember when they fought with the Beatles for years and years and years until the Beatles finally came on iTunes. And in essence, they borrowed all of the Beatles audience when they launched it, because then they would send out an email, hey, we just joined Apple iTunes. You can now get all of our songs, all of our Beatles songs on Apple iTunes. So yes, build, buy, and borrow. You can use all the above either way you want. What do you suggest if you've tried in your partner's way, but you still aren't happy with the results? Then do it on your own. I mean, still obviously love your partner, respect your partner, but you're not tied to anybody. And I don't mean, leave your marriage covenants. I'm just talking about you're an entrepreneur and you look at HP or you look at some of the other people who started businesses together. You're not bound and you're not in prison. Don't feel trapped. Do it your way. You can do marketing on your own. You can do 9 out of 10 things you can do independently of a partner, be it a spouse or a business partner. No one's stopping you from making phone calls. No one's stopping you from doing marketing and advertising and pushing it out there. I love numbers because numbers don't lie. If you are getting results, if you are pushing your business and you are being successful, it doesn't matter what anyone says because what you are doing works. I remember a couple two business partners inside of Renatus. I knew both of the individuals, and Bob came to me and said, what's going to happen here? And I just flat out told them, numbers don't lie. So they separated, they went their different ways, and one of them is having the best month of his lifetime right now because he didn't stop, he's pushing hard, and he's working for it. So you never need to give up, you never need to stop, just keep building your business the way you want to build it. You guys, if you're asking me questions on the chat, I'm not able to see it because my computer's frozen on my end. I realize what causes my computer to freeze. It's when I use the marker. When I wrote JV, second I did that, it froze it on my end. So if you have any questions, text me at 951-973-3408. That's 951-973-3408. And if you have one of those services that don't let you text while you're on the phone, I do apologize. I am sorry about that. Next week, maybe we can get around to that. I won't use the marker. But I'll give another 2 minutes. It's 9:38 my time. I'll give it till 9:40. If we have any more questions, we'll answer them. If not, we'll end it. But I love the questions you guys asked. We went 20 minutes longer because you guys asked questions. So fantastic. Thank you. My struggle is that we are 50-50 partners, and he makes me feel guilty whenever I want to leave. I've tried doing this twice. Any suggestions? Yes, you are not bound to anybody. You can leave. Don't let guilt stop you. And I'm not saying leave and destroy your Renatus business or destroy your marriage. I'm not promoting that. But I don't believe that you should feel bound or trapped in any type of relationship. Through communication, we can solve everything. Go on to nomortherapy.com. Go on to the membership side. There are tons of videos, tons of PDFs about how to communicate with somebody, about how to resolve concerns, how to help them feel important. Once again, it comes back to ROI, return on importance. They are holding you back, if you will, because you are not making them feel important. I'm not saying you need to serve them and make it all about them. But when people can work together, if people can get their needs met, they can find a happy ground. Whoa, all of a sudden we got a bazillion texts. Oh my gosh, you guys, we have 14. All right, let me see if I can get through these really quickly. Oh, you guys, I love these, except some of these are way too long for me to read and answer. See if you can ask very poignant, smaller questions. I work with some of my mentors, and they are not really helpful with me. See. At the end of the day, you are your own boss. I want to be very clear with that. You are your own boss. Yes, you come into a community like this, and there are people above you and people who've trained you, but you have got to take responsibility for your own action and your own business. If you were to get up and move, and let's say you were to move to Australia, and there was nobody there in Australia you knew, but you still had Renatus, you could run your business any way you want to. The same is true now. I've heard Bob countless times talk about that these are independent individuals. They own their own businesses. So in your partnerships, in your relationships, and by the amount of text that I have, I'll actually put some training together next week just on relationship communication, how to deal with disgruntled partners. I'll help you with that immensely, because I can tell this is a hot topic. We got on a really good topic. So you know what? I will actually postpone some of those answers till tomorrow or till next week. Oh, fantastic question. How do you recommend making an initial connection with someone uber successful if you do not have a mutual connection? Who can introduce you? I'll be honest, I don't know how. You're not going, well, that's not true. I do know how, but it's not very successful. The best way to meet someone who is super successful is through an introduction. If you want to meet someone who is successful and you do not have a way to be introduced, then you have to do a grabber. You got to do something to get their attention. So sending them a gift that just is hysterical or funny or unique would work. So I've got a friend of mine, an associate, and he does a lot of online training. And so these guys came to him and wanted to get with all the insurance companies, health insurance companies. So they went out and bought those $50 helicopters you see at the mall and mailed them to all the CEOs of these companies and said, hey, if you want to lift your sales to a higher height, give us a call. Well, they got inundated with phone calls from CEOs, because how often do you get a remote control helicopter sent to your desk? How often do you have it packaged beautifully in a phone number? When you send out a unique gift, you will definitely get their attention. The more unique, the better. But I would ask you, why do you want to connect with that successful person? What is the purpose of that? What are you going to do with that? If they call you, is your goal to get them into Renatus? If that's the case, that's the wrong case. If you want to get them to be a perpetual influencer, someone you can go to time and time again, then it takes time to build that relationship. It's not transactional. You got to create value for them, take them to lunch. Here's another thing I've done that I've found to be extremely successful when you want to meet people who are prominent. Say you're writing a book and you want to interview them on their success. Now, that still is truthful. You may write a book in 1 year or 10 years and start thinking about writing a book. I highly recommend it. But just interview them. I can't tell you how many CEOs I've got to meet with one-on-one by telling them I just want to interview them for a book I'm working on. And what has happened is it's allowed me to meet great people who then refer me to other great people who I did put in my movies, I put in my infomercials, and I have put them in my books. So it's a great way. The interview is a fantastic way to get people's attention. So I'm getting a lot of questions on, I have a spouse and a business partner. I'm having a tough time balancing both. I'm going to put together a real good training next week for you guys on that, because I can tell that's a hot topic. One more second here. Is it okay to seek other tools and other ways of doing things other than your upline, mentors, and team? Absolutely. The client at the beginning of this call I was referring to, this woman, she was trying to do her sales presentations the same as the community she's in. And I finally had to tell her, stop, do it your way. You are an independent business owner. It's great to have a mentor. It's great to have a module. It's great to have an example, but you also need to do it your way. How did Chicago become Chicago? They did it their way. How did Atlanta become Atlanta? They did it their way. How did New York become New York? They did it their way. So you need to start doing it your way. Read more books, watch documentaries, find new information. The one thing by Gary Keller, what's that one thing if I were to do that would make everything else obsolete? That one thing could be working 10 hours a day. That one thing could be making 100 phone calls a week. Whatever that one thing is that makes everything else obsolete, that's what you need to do. But do it your way. What happens when your fab leaders tell you nothing but lies and non-truths? I have a tough time with that question, I'll be honest, because I know a lot of fab members and I have dealt with a lot of people who've had different issues with them over the years. People have different opinions than you. It's that simple. I've had a lot of people say, oh, well, he's lying, he's lying. Maybe or maybe not. It could be just a different perspective. But once again, regardless of the fab, regardless of, and I'll say this out loud, regardless of what Bob is saying, you still are an independent business owner. Take responsibility, take the ball and run with it. You do not need someone's permission to be successful. You need to work hard, you need to be disciplined, learn the business behind the business. So there's a lot of very successful people in Renatus, a lot of very successful people on this call from Renatus. Call them, interview them, ask them what they did, reach across lines. You don't have to just stay within your little community. You are a fantastic business owner. Run your business your way. Please explain how to borrow an audience again. So borrowing an audience is, let's think of an example. I'll take Renatus, for example. So I've been very successful as a speaker and an author and a movie producer, but when I came to Utah, I did not have a lot of relationships. So I had a client, Richard Stock, who'd moved from California to Utah. I called him and asked him who I needed to know in Utah. And he said, well, Bob is here. You need to know Bob. Well, it took me a long time to get Bob's attention. And now that I have Bob's attention and now that I've created value for Bob, Bob is willing to allow me to speak on his stages. And you have to respect that. And let me tell you, this is super important. If someone gives you permission to grant access to their audience, you have got to hold that so sacredly. You will all notice I don't market to any of you guys anybody else's product. I don't market anything else to you except what I know Bob would accept. Because I would never want to hurt Bob. I would never want to hurt any of you in cross-pollinating or changing your businesses. Bob's number one complaint with other speakers in the past has been they come into Renatus and then they just take everybody and take them to somewhere else. I don't do that, nor should you. If someone gives you access to their audience, honor and respect it and create value for them. Great comments, you guys. Great text. See what other ones we have coming up real quick. Oh, someone said, what is the purpose of an accountability partner? The reason I want to assign you an accountability partner from our mastermind group is so that you can have someone you can go to throughout the week. You can interview them, they can interview you. And my goal is to mix them up so they're not all from the exact same community, so that you can really figure out what other people are doing successfully. Then I'm going to rotate these every 30 days so that you get a new one. They also asked, what about if you already have an accountability partner? There is nothing wrong with having more than one. The more relationships you have, the greater your net worth will increase. Great question here, or actually a statement. Thank you for the suggestion of interviewing. Planning to do that with Rick Wetzel, co-founder of Wetzel Pretzels. Not to have him enroll in Renatus, I just want to know the guy because people confuse us. That's from Loretta. Love you, Loretta. No, the important, like if Loretta, if you're able to meet with him and talk to him and interview him, ask him how he became successful. That same information you get will allow you to be successful in your own business. This is why you want to interview successful people, CEOs, entrepreneurs, inventors, because you got to get out of your own business sometimes to figure out what tools they did, what they used to be successful in their industry, because it will also apply to your industry as well. So guys, thank you very much. We're near the top of the hour. I'm going to end all the calls right now. You guys have been fantastic. We appreciate it. And we will continue to create massive value in this mastermind. I will continue to read all these texts that come in. And next week, we will definitely talk about relationships and relationship building. So thank you very much. Have a fantastic day.